Okay.
Yeah.
About that.
Nice to see you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
I'm trying to sign on to my computer, but it's not working. So I'm just using my phone right now.
No
Let's see.
problem. It will be fine from our side. Yeah.
So I'll just, let me just, here we go.
How are you? So
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
thank you. And I'm glad to be here and talking to you and having a conversation. So should we start?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm ready. So good morning and good evening to people and everything who are watching us. So firstly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Siddharth Murekar. I'm an MBBS, currently practicing as a medical officer in Wardha. I practice in DIC and I'm also assisting in the COVID and SARI surveillance team at Wardha to limit the spread of COVID-19 at the local level. So today, I am not being a doctor. I'm here as a member of Youth Cancer Action. And today I'm glad and I'm very honored to interview an amazing lady, Mrs. JOANA BRECKNER. And
Good morning.
what should I call you, JOANA BRECKNER, please?
JOANA, call me JOANA.
Yeah, JOANA will be fine. So the motto of our organization is together we raise awareness, funds research and save lives. So firstly, there's a big introduction of JOANA, but I'd like to give a short snippet of it. So to everyone seeing us here, Mrs. JOANA BRECKNER, JOANA is a 3-time oral cancer defeater. She is a cancer awareness advocate, worldwide motivational speaker, and founder member of an amazing organization that is DYP, Discover Your Power, that is Your Ways. I am actually, flattered by this term, that discover your power. This is so meaningful in itself, no? Just 3 words, and this is so meaningful. So, firstly, I'll ask your permission, with your permission. So, will it be okay for you to talk about your illness and the thing you have passed? So, will that be okay for you?
Yes, absolutely. You have my permission, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely. I know you. I know you'll give me permission because while asking this thing, I've realized that this is the thing that is propelled you so forward, and it is help. This thing has helped so many people in this cancer pathway, and this thing is like it is the benchmark for everyone. So there won't be. This is like your strength more than any illness which has occurred to you. What is what I feel.
Okay.
So, well, the first question I'd like to ask: when were you diagnosed, or like, did you get the news that you might have something called as cancer, and it at what stage?
Okay. Well, my first diagnosis with squamous cell cancer was in October 2007. That was the first diagnosis. But the backstory is that 20 years ago, in 2001, during a routine checkup, I go to the dentist every 6 months. My dentist, during an oral cancer screening, he found small white spots on the right side of my tongue.
Okay.
It was called leukoplakia, or is called leukoplakia. And I had it biopsied by an oral surgeon, and the biopsy came back benign. And I felt like I had nothing to worry about. They said, okay, well, just keep an eye on it. I did have the white spots surgically removed because they do not belong there. Every doctor has a different, opinion about that. But the advice given to me was, if you have something on your skin that doesn't belong there, if a dermatologist finds something suspect, treat them out the same way. So I had the white spots removed. And at that point, I brought an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat doctor, into my medical team.
Okay.
And I was checked every 6 months regularly. I was young, naive. I didn't really think about it. Gradually, the white spots returned.
Okay.
and the ENT called them angry cells. He said, I have nothing to worry about, at least not yet. But eventually the white spots turned into a squamous cell tumor. And then I had my first diagnosis in October 2007.
So, okay. You've gone through a lot of process, and maybe from 2001, you must have, all this cancers and all this things just going through your day-to-day life. I can imagine that. So you can say that it took almost 6 to 7 years for the final diagnosis to make. Am I right?
Well, let's see, the pre-cancer was in 2001. My first diagnosis was in 2006.
Sure.
And that tumor I had surgically removed. I spent one night in the hospital. I had clean margins. There was no follow-up treatment. Mind you, the magic number for remission with my type of cancer is 5 years. And at 4.5 years, I received diagnosis number 2.
Oh, that
yeah.
Is, yeah.
So I was so close.
Yeah.
And I was still checked regularly. I still went to the dentist regularly. I mean, I have a lot of people looking in this mouth, and I was hyper vigilant about this. It's not like I sat on anything.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
No, that actually helped. Yeah, your vigilante nature was very important in this. I must say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the early detection, I believe, is what saved my life, because one, my dentist found something I never would have known about. Even when my dentist told me about the white spots, excuse me, and showed them to me, I could barely see them.
Yeah.
There was nothing unusual. I was not in pain. My taste didn't change. My saliva didn't change. There was nothing uncomfortable. Even once you showed me this, I still really was like, okay, you're the professional. I got some opinions, and I went about, I followed his protocol. So when it came back in 2007, and, it seemed kind of another blip on the radar. It was removed. I was done, no treatment. And, I was followed very carefully after that. I had PET scans on a yearly basis now to see if the cancer came back. And in 2011, 4.5 years later, it came back a second time. And it came back very aggressively. And the first diagnosis, the second diagnosis, I'm the one who found them because I was paying attention. So diagnosis number 2, kind of crazy. I got this diagnosis the day before I was about to go on a Disney cruise with my family. So imagine you're like packing. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old daughter, and then you're like given this news, and then you're on the ship surrounded by water, and you're like, I was about to lose my mind, but kind of crazy.
Yeah, I just can imagine that thing. That must be too hard at this time. Like you are enjoying in the middle of the sea, and that is.
Yeah, and then I'm still aware of this thing growing in my mouth. But the moment I came home from the trip, and it was a great trip, and it was a good distraction. This was in December. We set a surgery date, February 13 at UCLA. And it was going to be mega. I thought I did get second opinions because what they were suggesting was so drastic. And we felt like, what was the best decision for me, for my quality of life, and for my family, because I had young kids.
I can see that.
And that surgery included, I was in surgery for 11 hours. They removed half my tongue, a quarter of my teeth. I'll try to get up close. I'll bring the camera close. I don't know if you can see, I have this scar that runs from my lower lip all the way down my chin, and it kind of tucks in around my neck. So they have completely opened me up. And I don't know, it's hard to tell on camera, but I have a free flap on my arm.
Yeah, I can see that. I've watched it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where they host it from. And I have a skin graft from my thigh for the arm.
Yeah.
I spent a week in the hospital with a tracheotomy and a feeding tube in my nose.
Yeah.
And that was followed up with over 3 months of chemotherapy and radiation,
Okay. Mhm.
which
So
was super intense.
yeah, we will definitely come to your chemotherapy. That was an integral part of your management. I can see that. So, Joanna, talking about, you told me that you just had gone to a dentist for a dental screening. So, can you enlist what were the initial symptoms which prompted you, were there any to seek the medical help, especially maybe in 2001 or maybe in 2006? Like, what were the initial symptoms for all the people watching us?
For the initial symptoms, my initial symptoms were
Yeah.
small white spots my dentist found.
Okay.
Now, I want to make very clear, I'm not a doctor. I am not a
Yeah.
professional.
Yes.
The only information I have to share is what I have learned and what I have read. But at
Yes.
the end of the day, anything suspect, don't listen to me. Run to your dentist or your ENT or an oral surgeon or a head neck professional, because they're really going to guide you the most. And I need to get myself off the hook.
That is very good. No, that is very important advice actually. You have to seek the professional help rather than, Googling it. Now times technology has been so empowering us. People Google things and they just rule out their diagnosis without proper professional help.
Right.
Yeah, and many times majority of time there is not an issue regarding that, but sometimes if there is an issue, I think so that will be a very dangerous thing because
Yes.
you have been so intense with your screenings and you are so vigilant. That's why we can say that it played a very big part in your early diagnosis and treatment is what I can say.
Well, I'll tell you what I have read about symptoms, but before I do that, I do want to share. I was diagnosed the third time a year later, which is not uncommon. But my cancer have now crossed the midline, and they found a tumor in my jugular vein. I woke up one morning and my neck was throbbing, and I immediately called my radiologist. I called my ENT. The protocol was my ENT put me on antibiotics, and he said, let's see what happens for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks passed, nothing was changing. He said, go right into your radiologist. I did. He wasn't so happy, which didn't make me not so happy. And he said, I'm calling your surgeon at UCLA right now and getting you right in. And they did. They confirmed. Well, they couldn't confirm anything until I was in the operating room, but they were highly suspicious of cancer. It was the same cancer. And so they went back in. It was on my jugular vein. They were able to remove it. At that point, I had another 3 months of chemotherapy and radiation. But I am happy to report January 22nd this year, I am 8 years out. So
big congratulations to you, I must say. You're 8
it's
years
been
into, and in this journey you have empowered so many people. You are not alone. I must say that. I've watched your lectures, I've watched your speeches. You have empowered, I can say thousands of people, and somehow, somewhere, like the people who saved your life, and you just propagated that, and by your DYP or just any emergency kit, I must say DYP emergency kit. I will come to it later. So this thing somewhere in the world, one person must be saved by your awareness. So I must congratulate and thank you from all those people who are watching us today. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
All right. So my big plug is this, is that at least in the United States, there is no such thing as opportunistic cancer screenings. I had a dentist who was very vigilant about this. I've had this dentist since I was 10 years old. So I'm super grateful. This man has always been in my life, my whole family's life, my parents, my sisters, everybody. So if you are going to the dentist every 6 months, why is your mouth not being checked? The high risk groups are usually males, smokers, or people who who chew tobacco,
Yeah.
heavy drinkers,
Mhm.
maybe a family history.
Mhm.
I have none of those risk factors, none at all. And the
Okay.
newer risk factor is the HPV virus, which
Yeah.
there was no detection of me having that as well.
Yeah.
I would have no problem having the HPV virus. In fact, everything I've read, if you have the HPV virus, you respond so much better to treatment
Yes.
for oral cancer. So by having that diagnosis, while nobody wants it, it is more positive because they know a better way to treat you. But I did not have any of those things. I did not have any of the risk factors, which is why these oral cancer screenings are more critical, because someone with HPV may not be 50 plus or a drinker or a smoker. They
Yeah.
may be young.
Yeah.
Because there is an increase in this type of cancer with HPV associated with HPV. If
Mhm.
your dentist is not checking you for HPV,
Mm.
then ask your dentist or a qualified hygienist
Mm.
to make it part of your 6-month visit every single time.
Yeah.
And if they think of the reasons, well, you're not a risk factor, it's not
Yeah.
something we do,
Mm.
I would run out the door, not walk.
Yeah.
I would run out the door until I find someone who's willing to take my oral health seriously and
Mm.
say, okay, we're going to take 2 minutes. I mean, we're not talking, I mean, there is fancy equipment
Yeah.
and there are dyes.
Yeah.
And my doctor does some of those and they don't hurt. I mean, there's something called a beloscope. It looks like a big flashlight. He puts it in your mouth and he sees a regular cell growth.
Yeah.
If your dentist or a hygienist is not doing this, either press them on it, or maybe you should be visiting somebody else.
Yeah.
But these are some of the signs. I'm going to read. I wrote an article, one of my favorite magazines, Costco Connection, many years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And these are some of the signs. A sore or ulcer on your lip,
Okay.
because sun exposure over long periods of time can create
Yes.
malignant skin cancer.
Yes.
A lump on the lip or in the mouth or in the neck,
Okay.
a white or red patch on the gums, unusual bleeding, pain or numbness in the mouth, oral pain that does not go away, difficulty or pain with chewing, swallowing, or jaw opening, loose teeth, sensory loss in the face, abnormal taste in the mouth, and tongue problems. And what I have heard is if after a 2-week period you've noticed this, and after 2 weeks there is no change, it's not disappearing, maybe it's getting worse, that is when it is most important to get into the right doctor office, because oral cancers are very hard to detect on yourself.
Yeah.
And this year alone, at least in the United States, over 54,000 people will have oral cancer.
Yeah.
And of that number, almost 10,000 of those people will die.
Yeah.
And with early detection, only with early detection, that's the only number I am aware of, only over 90% of people with early detection will make it to that 5-year survival mark.
Yeah, that's a big number. Yeah.
That's a big number. So without that early detection or late diagnosis, I don't know the numbers, but those numbers of fatalities increase.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone must be very vigilant about the symptoms. As you understood, very brief about the symptoms. Everyone, you will advise that everyone should, go for the regular screenings for his or her dentist, and also look on for all these symptoms, because these symptoms are very, I can say, inconspicuous, because ulcers and all these things are very common in today's world regarding the sleep issues and the dietary habits. So these things are very inconspicuous, and you have to be very vigilant, to catch these things. And more than you, your doctor should be there, and for that you should visit a doctor. So that is a very important message we are giving through this statement.
Right. I mean, I want people to be comfortable with their mouths.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a protocol for yearly breast exams or prostate exams.
Yeah.
And we are taught to do breast exams on ourselves in the shower or different times in the month. So why not get comfortable with your own mouth? Open wide, look in the mirror. What looks familiar? What looks unusual? And do this on a monthly basis. I mean, if we're going to be comfortable here, let's be comfortable here. And, you know, we look on our arms. Do we have something unusual?
That's very important. Like we should be focusing because breast cancers and prostate cancers are one of the most common cancers, but that doesn't make sure that you won't have any oral cancers or you won't have any risk for oral cancers. So you should not be missing that thing because it plays a big chunks in the cancer diagnosis. JOANA, coming to the diagnosis which you have given, I'd like to ask, what was your MSA? What was the initial response in maybe 2006 or 7? And what was the initial response? How did you respond to your diagnosis in the initial state? Like,
you mean like, how did I respond my body from the treatment, or how did I respond when I got the news?
Mentally.
Did I break down?
No. that is.
Which I did.
Like, how did you? What, like the doctor must have called you, or he must have sent you something, text or that. So, what was your response, and how did you respond? Was there any person with you at the time? How someone broke the bad news for you? Can you tell us about that point?
Sure. Well, when I had the leukoplakia, I mean, I was nervous about the surgery, but the word cancer was not in my
dictionary. You can say
it wasn't in my narrative. So I was young, I was single, I was living my life. I was like, whatever, I'm out surgery out, and tomorrow night I'm going out with friends. But when I had the first diagnosis, I was a little bit in shock. But because my doctor said to me, you know, the margins are, so I had the surgery and I was scared. But even at that point, I think I was still in some denial on what this could potentially be. I had the surgery, clean margins. I thought, oh, I'm done, finished. You know, I got my scans. I sat there for about half an hour. It was like, okay, I get a little break from my young kids and I meditate a little bit. But so I don't think it really, really hit me until number 2. And that's when he said, we're removing half of your tongue. And I was pretty hysterical about the whole thing. I mean, I thought, oh my God, how am I going to travel? How am I going to have, you know, a relationship with my husband? How am I going to talk? How am I going to eat? How am I going to ever have a job again? Who's going to hire me? I didn't know what it was going to be like after I had the surgery. It was pretty shocking. But one of the very first phone calls I make, because I'm a very proactive type of person, once I got over the shock and I gave myself permission to be upset about all this, my husband and I, we kind of went into action mode. And the first phone call I made, there was a national organization in the United States called the Cancer Support Community. And they have chapters all over the country. And there happened to be one right down the street from me. And I knew about it because my mother, who has had breast cancer and she's a survivor twice, she went there. And so that was the first phone call I made. And they said, come on in for the orientation. That was what was required. And I remember they made me watch a video. And on the video, it said, there was one line, 11 words, and it said, thousands of people survive all types of cancers at all stages. And I kind of tucked that away back here. And I repeated that mantra to myself every single day. Every single day, I reminded myself, people survive all types of cancers of all stages. I never found out what stage my cancer was at. Never wanted to know. I feel like information is power. And if I had that piece of information, I might start playing head games with myself with that number. And I knew my doctors had the number, the professionals had the number. And as long as they had all the information, I trusted them. Some people want to know that. I was not that person.
Yeah.
But I went to the cancer support community.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I kind of, I went into a group. But actually, no, I didn't go into a group yet. I went to one of their classes. I went to a, like a meditation, kind of a hypnotherapy class. And I met someone, they gave me a free first session. I went into I did a hypnotherapy, and we did some pre-recordings for my surgery, so I could completely get my head in the game of what was going to be required of me on surgery day.
Yeah.
And so when I showed up on hospital day, I was actually very calm because I envisioned walking into this home of healing.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of visualization work, imagining the doctors performing on me and my body being at optimal levels and not a lot of bleeding. And I don't know if any of this stuff works. I feel like you kind of have to do what works for you. I believe in Eastern medicine. I believe in Western medicine. But I had to prep my body and my mind for what was to come. And
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that you actually taught yourself, like you prepared yourself so well before the surgery and go through this. Like you lived all these things prior to going to the surgery, and actually I think so that helps everyone. If you this is the thing that it matters at the end, because it's your mind that conquers all over your body. I can say that from your experience at least, because you prepared yourself so well. So after the surgery, the things were not like that you didn't know, actually, is what I say. Can I say that, like, you knew all the things that were going to happen and what would be the outcome of the surgery and everything?
I read, my doctors gave me a whole brochure on what would actually happen in my surgery. So I took the time to figure out, okay, if all these things are happening, what can I control about my surgery? I could do hypnotherapy. I created, believe it or not, I put on my hospital wall. I had my husband put it up because I was in bed. I had pictures of my family. I printed up a sign saying, I'm going to this so I can live. And I created a hospital to-do list with everything I had to accomplish to get out of the hospital. So number one, survive surgery. Like, I know that sounds silly, but I survived surgery. And then when I woke up, we were able to cross that off. And then we had other things to accomplish. I had to go from a big tracheotomy to a small tracheotomy. I had to become unplugged for all my wires and my catheter. I had to walk on my own. I had to be able to eat before they let me leave the hospital. I remember there were about 13 things. And every time we crossed one off, we all kind of cheered, whether it was a doctor or a nurse. And I felt like my job, while I was in the hospital, I couldn't talk. My job was to get out of the hospital. Oh, and something else, when I joined the cancer support community, and after I read the report on my surgery, I knew I was going to have eating issues. And the cancer support community provided me with a free nutritionist. And we went over all the potential obstacles I might be facing. And the number one piece of advice she gave me was make every calorie count. So we talked about what is my game plan when I get out so I can keep my nutrition levels up.
These things are, you can talk them with a smile at this time, but I can imagine to everyone that those things were so important. Those were so, emotional at that times. And, just striking one thing out of this list would have been such, you must have felt that you have conquered the world today because you scribed one thing out.
Right.
And still the 12 worlds were going, just you have to conquer more 12 things down the list. So it must have taken a toll on you, but you somehow, survived this thing. And you didn't only survive, you lived, you outgrow that thing very well. I can see that, because you can remember these things and it puts a smile to your face. And that is a big thing. That is a big message to you. So, JOANA, at this time, you told me that you had two beautiful kids, you had a perfect family, you had a loving husband, you had a life. So, after the diagnosis, after the surgery, I'd like to ask, like, what impact this thing had in your priorities, firstly, and second point, uh, uh, what did you do actually to come in terms with the reality now? Like, you had the surgery, you are the new JOANA now, I can say that. So what did you do in this time? So
You mean right after the surgery, I came home? What were the next steps?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Okay. This is kind of a crazy story. I remember
yeah.
it was that in between period. I came home from the hospital
Mhm.
and I knew I would have to eat. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the fear now is how do I eat? You know, I only have half of my teeth.
yeah,
Um, and I remember I had my husband go to the store. I'm like, buy me yogurt. I said, just buy me yogurt. Let me start with lemon yogurt. Now, I
yeah.
hate yogurt. I
Oh,
can't stand yogurt. I've never liked it. I like lemon, I think, once in my life. I said, buy me lemon yogurt. He bought a bunch of them.
yeah.
And I remember the kids went to school. My husband went to work. I took my yogurt right here in front of me.
Mhm.
And it took me an hour to get it down.
Yeah.
And then I finished it. I walked around my home. I went outside. I got some fresh air. And
Mhm.
then I came back and I sat down and I ate another yogurt. And I did that over and over and over until I got over the fear of eating
Mhm.
and was able to nourish my body. This was a head game. I
Yeah.
mean, it was physical, but this was a head game because I knew I had to get my weight up before first of all, I tried to put on as much weight as I could before my surgery.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had to sustain that weight before I
Yeah.
began radiation.
Yeah.
So my game plan at this point was
Mhm.
to just live a normal life as best I could before
Mhm.
radiation and
Mhm.
keep my weight up or at least try to gain weight.
Yeah.
So that was the game plan. Exercise, I always visualize. Cancer does not like oxygen. Cancer does not like oxygen.
Mhm.
So I kind of, I went for light walks. I mean, nothing serious.
Yeah.
Physically, I was fine. My body, it was strong before I went into surgery. It was strong once I recuperated.
Yeah.
I got
Definitely.
sleep. Um,
Mhm.
I'll be honest, I'm very fortunate. My husband can take care of my family and I, so it's not like I had to rush back to go to the office. So I'm very grateful for that. And
Yeah.
I do not take that for granted. Um, this is a crazy story. I remember I went to the dry cleaner,
Mhm.
that a dry
Yeah.
cleaner,
Yeah.
and I went to pick up clothing. And I remember I got back into my car and I put my clothing down and I started crying. Like I was hysterical. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I was trying to will the normal back into my life.
Yeah.
And that is the moment I realized that normal will never happen again.
Yeah.
I can go to the supermarket, I can go to the dry cleaner, I can read a story to my kids, but it's never going to be the name it's never going to be like it was before.
Mhm.
And that was like a significant moment of mourning and loss for me. I'll
Mhm.
never forget it. And I sat there and I called someone that I had met who had cancer from the cancer support community.
Yeah.
And I said, what am I doing? And she kind of talked me through it and helped me breathe because I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And
Feel that.
we got through it. I came home and I said, okay, I'm going to have to, just
Yeah.
accept the fact it's not going
Yeah.
to be the same. I didn't accept it right away. I mean, this was a long process,
Hmm.
but this was the first moment I really realized game over, however
Yeah.
it was before.
Yeah. So the takeaway point from this point to everyone is that you faced your fear fearlessly. I can say that the things which you dislike the most, you did that thing for the first time, and that is a very important message, not for all the only for cancer survivors, but for everyone. That the things like you didn't like yogurt and you started with yogurt, and I must say that that is just a very big step, because you are survived the surgery, you are left with half your tongue and half your mouth, you are left with half
Right.
the teeth, and you are trying the new thing, and that too which you don't like. So this is very important thing. You have to fear, face the fears head on. You didn't, shy away from that thing. Like you could have
Right.
given up easily. There were, I think so, there were 1,000 reasons you to give up, and maybe just single reason that, to take away from this. So yeah, I can feel that part very thing. And the things that things won't be the normal, and to accept the new normal, as we said nowadays, it is a
Right.
big thing. And yeah, and actually, you were too frank in that, and it's that you have to accept the new normal. You didn't give false assurances to people, and you don't tell that no, everything will be normal like that. No, everything won't be normal, but you have to accept the new thing in life. That is what do you mean to say, everyone? And one thing I must say, that if people now attend your lectures, and you give talks to them, but that part is after the this times of surgery, post the times of surgery, maybe 1 or 2 years of the surgery, that made you to talk to these things very freely. So you have faced very bad times, and I must say that you have gone through this very well. So that is a big thing to everyone, that things will be bad, but there is some ray of hope at the end of the tunnel, and you have to just crawl to it. So that's a big thing. Joanna, talking about the treatment part, while you were undergoing treatment surgery, you told us in a brief about this, but you told us that there was chemo and radiation, and that had a big impact on you. So, what impact did this all treatments, including surgery, on your mental health? So, were you seeing any people who were helping you with this, along with the support groups? Did
Right.
you seek any professional help for this? So because these times are very hard, I can say to everyone. And
Yeah.
yeah, so how did you sail through this very in a good manner? Can you tell us about it?
Okay. I'm happy to. Um, I I went through the treatment, then I was diagnosed the first time, more surgery, more treatment.
Yeah,
And then I was like, okay, well, now what? Now we have to kind of rebuild me back up.
yeah,
Um, I'm not a candidate for implants. I wear a partial denture.
yeah,
This is the point. Once I'm past the healing, I mean, once I'm past like the physical healing, like my
yeah,
body was getting back
yes,
to normal,
yeah,
then I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to live with this? There were a lot of nights I cried, like, why me? There was a lot of pity parties. I mean, I went through all of that, and I had a lot of anger and a lot of fear of like, what if it comes back? Every weird feeling, every scratch, every it's like,
yeah,
is it the cancer? Is it cancer?
yeah,
And I sought the help of the therapist, who I still go to now, to help me manage all of the emotions I had surrounding this, all of the why me's, all why the fear. And
yeah,
it was my husband, who was not always on board with this type of thing,
yeah,
he discovered that this became such a vital part of my healing, as well as the cancer care community,
definitely, yeah,
because he was not equipped. My friends are not equipped. My parents are not equipped. Most of the people in my life that I trust and I care for and who I turn to were not equipped to handle what I was going through.
yeah,
And I am grateful I found this woman who I just love to pieces, who helped me kind of break down my feelings and understand them and sympathize and empathize and
yeah,
talk to me and guide me.
mhm,
And she still does, because I am dealing with the collateral damage of my illness for the rest of my life.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like the cancer is over. I mean, the cancer is over, thank God,
yeah,
but I
definitely,
will have ongoing problems with
yeah,
my speech,
yeah,
with my swallowing,
yeah,
with my dental work, with I have osteoporosis, I have thyroid disease. I mean, I don't say these things because I feel sorry for myself.
yeah,
We handle them, we recognize them, we tackle them, we move on. But I will have challenges forever. So I do have a therapist I see on the weekly basis.
mhm,
And not only she helped me with cancer, she's been terrific throughout COVID,
mhm,
and kind of helped me navigate when the world feels out of control, and helping me find some stability and control.
yeah. That is a very important thing, that you should talk out to people, those who are watching this and going through this, that I had bad times. You should talk to people, seek professional help, because these things you don't have to let the things go out of your hand, because in the initial stage, as Joanna did this, like she planned everything. I'm not saying that everyone can plan so well pre-surgery, during the surgery, and post-surgery, but at least if you have any problems, you could at least talk to not only cancer survivors or anyone, but everyone who had problems with their mental health can, just talk to people, seek help. And that is
Yeah,
important point in, to enjoy that quality of life, and enjoy the main meaning of life. So that is a big thing. So Jana,
right.
coming to we had a very serious discussion regarding the treatment and all these things. Can you? I know you are very thankful to the doctors who helped you, and you told that your dentistician was amazing person who helped you get the things done early. So can you tell a bit more about the doctors in the team who helped you go all through this, including the diagnosis and surgery, and
Oh
how
my
did
God.
how did the hospital team fare to help you, to just tick the 13 things one by one by one. So how was the team around you, excluding your family, because they must have been, they're tremendous people. I
Wow.
can say that.
Well, I mean, talk about the dream team. I mean, I know that phrase is overused, but really, I had the most remarkable team at UCLA. Um, well, I worked at the two medical institutions. My ENT is at a hospital called Cedar Sinai, and he gave the original diagnosis.
Yeah.
Super qualified doctor, incredible. But I chose to go to UCLA because they had a very strong head and neck department, and the doctors I was recommended to had done this surgery hundreds and hundreds of times. And I wanted the person who can do this surgery in their sleep.
Yeah.
So the captain of my team, his name was Dr. Appelmeyer,
Oh.
and he's still at UCLA.
Yeah.
And he really steered the course with all this. He was very no nonsense, told me up front what was going to happen, how to handle this. He was the one who actually initially said, join a cancer support group.
Okay.
He said, because there are actually statistics that show people who show groups have a better chance at survival rates than others.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a true statement, but I listened to it and I was like, all right, I'm on board.
Yeah.
So he actually performed half my surgery in the removal of the tumor. And the other half of my surgery was Dr. Keith Blackwell. He was a reconstruction doctor.
Okay.
And he's the one who helped put my thumb back together with my arm. And they were the ones who followed up with me. I don't believe you have to be best friends with your doctor, but you do have to trust in them.
Yeah.
So they guided me. Every question, every anxiety, any neurosis I had, they were happy to answer anything, follow up with anything. If I make a phone call, they're right back at me. They were super strong. The nurses at the hospital, I mean, talk about angels on earth.
Oh my God.
They pushed me, they massaged me when I crumbled to the floor because I just wanted to go home and I was tired. They picked me back up and they took me to my room and they told me it was going to be okay. And they were there for every single drop of it. I mean, I had the best team imaginable and they took me seriously every step of the way, even when I felt like I was saying something that might have been silly. They're like, all right. I had the best care at UCLA. I couldn't talk, so they helped me manage that. They got me in fast, quickly, every time I needed to. They are the ones who referred me to my radiologist, and my radiologist referred me to my oncologist. My radiologist was Dr. Paul Miller, and my oncologist was Dr. Ashuri, and they were very closely together. My oncologist was available always by email, and I never abused that power. So whenever I felt like I'm reaching the end, I'm not eating. A very big fear with oral cancer when you're going through treatment is basically the eating factor. I mean, you have to keep your body supplemented. And a lot of oral cancer patients end up on feeding tubes through treatment. Some people are on feeding tubes forever. But my doctor told me I might end up on the feeding. Actually, let me step back. when I was preparing for my big surgery, my doctor, Abemeyer, he asked me, do you want me to insert a feeding tube while you're in surgery?
Okay.
And I thought about it, and my husband and I looked at each other, and I said, no. I said, we'll figure this out. So I did have that option. So once I met with my radiologist and we went through the protocol, I would be having chemo and radiation for 100 days. He told me what some of the side effects might be. He said, I get to decide how quickly my body deteriorates. He said, I know you're going to lose weight. It's expected. But are you going to gently float down a pound a week, 2 pounds a week, or are you going to drop and lose 10 pounds in 1 week? Because that's our fear, and that's what will end you back in the hospital.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of wrap my head around that. I said, I'm not ending up on a feeding tube.
Yeah.
And I created, with the help of my nutritionist, I created a nutrition plan, and I drank the same smoothies every single day throughout treatment for almost 100 days. There were like 3 different smoothies. There was a combination. I had those every day. I forced myself, even when the thought of putting anything in my mouth made me ill.
Yeah, no, sure.
And I said, I have to hit it down. I have to hit it down. And they coached me, and they prodded me, and they guided me. And every week I would lose maybe 1-2 pounds. I had one really bad week at the end where it was just, when you're combining radiation with, I had radiation 5 days a week and chemo every week, once a week. So when I reached that end, I mean, I had barely even energy to do anything. And I had 1 week of really bad weight loss. And they're like, well, you gotta, they gave me kind of a pep talk. And they kept me going. And so those nurses, those doctors, they kept very close tabs on me, and they kept the communication lines always open. I never felt like I couldn't ask them anything. And then we brought into another thing into the mix. They brought hydration, and I think that's a very big thing that lots of people miss out on, because I had a PIC line. We decided the hydration is really important for your energy and for your body. I went in for hydration twice a week on top of my medicine. And that was like a game changer once we brought that into the mix. Didn't even occur to me. And they're like, you know what, you're not getting enough. You can't drink water. You can only have these smoothies. In fact, I could not drink water. The viscosity was too thin, and I would choke on it. So they said, come in for the hydration, and that might do a world of difference. And it did. And even after I completed treatment, we kept up with the hydration, I think maybe for a few more weeks, until I was like really out of the ballpark, and that stuff started coming out of my system. What else? I have my dentist. I go to the dentist now every 3. I get my teeth cleaned every 6 months. I mean, every 3 months now. So every 6 months, I'm at a dentist who takes care of my teeth, and the other 6 months, I'm at a periodontist. So he's taking care of my gums, because one of the side effects of the radiation and the treatment is my ability to produce saliva. And saliva, the enzymes in saliva are very important for killing the bad bacteria in your mouth, which protects you against cavities and gum disease and who knows what else. So they're helping me with the saliva. I have brought an acupuncturist on board. I actually brought an acupuncturist on board to help me manage treatment, because the side effects were so horrendous. And once that was complete, we focused on a lot of stuff, but one of the big ones was saliva. And I go to acupuncture now. I have been for over 5 years now. I go once a month, and my saliva has been remarkable. And I also have xylitol mint, and I have these, they're called zellies. And I have him every time I eat to help me break down all that bacteria since I cannot do it on my own. I have not had any new cavities in 8 years, so that's a very big deal.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Yeah.
I also have a prosthodontist who helped create my denture.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, he oversaw me throughout my cancer. I saw him once a week. He wanted to see what was going on in my mouth while I was going through treatment. And now so, over these years, we got the denture. I go in there just to have some adjustments every once in a while. And now I only call him on an as needed basis, but he's been a big part of my team. I have the head of the dental department at UCLA. They took molds of my teeth and he oversaw a lot of my stuff. I did have to have another surgery because they had to prep my mouth where all my teeth were pulled. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but they had to do another skin graft and lay that over the exposed area so that I could start wearing a denture.
Yeah.
So he was fine, never. Let me think what else. I don't know. There's so many doctors. I mean, because of my cancer, I have thyroid disease, so I'm an endocrinologist now. I've been into early menopause. I give myself daily injections for osteoporosis. Let's see what else. Gosh, I think that I hope I'm not missing anything. Oh, I had speech therapy. I still am. Swallow therapy at UCLA because last year I ended up in the emergency room because there was something that got stuck in my throat. So I went back to UCLA and there's actually swallow therapy to help build those muscles back up.
So,
maybe that was a big answer. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but
no.
I have a very big team.
You have written a book about it, so summing up an interview of 1 hour, I know it will be a big answer, and that's what you need. Am I audible, right? Yeah. So that's what everyone wants to know, that the journey is not easy, but you can go through it. So for example, you shared so many experiences and what are the lows you faced, but somehow you crawled through them somewhere very sharply and shining over these things very well. And somewhere you might be a little low, you had some like anxiety, like how am I going to do this, why is this happening with me, and there are questions of like, why did this happen to me? So things are not cakewalk every time. You face some lows, and that is what important to everyone looking out here, that you have to go over these things because there's a bigger picture. And you are like a best example that you have been given a second life, and you had made this life yourself, because you have grown yourself, you had taught yourself what you should do, what you should not do. Like we teach a child who is just growing up, like you must have taught your kids. So such in same pattern you have taught yourself. And I literally had goosebumps listening to your post cancer recovery. That is, I must say, I can't I can express my emotions so well, but that was a big thing on your part. And being a doctor, I have seen patients in worse condition, but crawling through over it is a big thing, that I must say to you. JOANA, you must have you actually, I feel that you are the best example of the quote, which I just remember, that the thing that doesn't kill you, it just makes you stronger. So
it has in some way.
Yeah. So regarding, I'll not have to go into the deep of it, but maybe after the third diagnosis, you were diagnosed the third time, you had surgery, and after some years, it was that now I'm cancer free. Now you just said now you are 8 years into cancer free. So yeah, that is a big.
I'm always gonna cheer. I never take it for granted.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. So how did you react when you realized that you have destroyed cancer 3 times, you have grown an amazing person, you motivate like thousands of people every day, you have videos shot on you, you have written books. So how do you react to these things? Like, you have survived these things very well. How do you react to this now? you can look back these things. You can look back to these things. How do you react to these things that you have?
How do I react to what I went through now?
Yeah,
Is that
after
what you're asking?
beating the cancer 3 times, and growing into now.
Right. I'll be honest, like, well, I'm gonna be straight up.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who say, like, this is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, and so for some people, it is an aha moment. They're like, wow, like my life has changed for the better. If I could go back and not have this cancer, I would, hands down. I mean, it would be foolish of me not to learn something from this. So I have taken the time to figure out what that is. And it would be a forever process.
Yeah.
But if I could like go back and like figure out how not to have it, of course I would. I mean, nothing has been worth any of this. But being that said, I am alive and I've lived for my kids to be teenagers, and I don't know, having teenagers sometimes I think is more challenging than what I've been through. They're giving me a run for my money. I love my kids dearly and my husband. It's taken, we don't know how this has impacted my family, but I'm sure it has. I have a crazy story. My daughter, I don't know, maybe a few years after treatment, she had a cut on her. She had a cut, nothing big, and the scab was about to fall off. And she asked me if she would have a scar, and I told her she probably wouldn't. She then asked me if I had any scars. I mean, it took every bit of me not to like break down in front of her, because I told you, I have a lot of scars, on my face, on my arm, on my thigh. There's a lot more just because of my disease. And so, my big fear was what my cancer would do to my family and my kids. So when my daughter at 9 or 10 years old could not see my scars, could not recognize them, I felt like, wow, like this is healing. This is healing. And it was a bit, so emotional thinking about it. She couldn't see them. She couldn't see my scars. And I thought, wow, this is moving forward. And so every day I think about moving forward. A few years ago, I was asked to give a speech at a fundraiser, and I talked about celebrating life. That was my topic. And I've never thought I would be a speaker, like not now, like no way.
Amazing.
I just couldn't embed it. And after that speech, it was very emotional. I was asked to give another speech and another speech and another, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And I kept a journal when I was ill. And I thought, well, before I give more speeches, I really better have a clear understanding on what my message is now, because I could just talk about being a cancer survivor, which is as we all know, it's a big deal because so many people are not cancer survivors. But if I'm going to talk, I better know my message. And I look back through my journal, and it was super obvious. It was not just about the cancer and the treatment, the diagnosis. It was about how I got through all of those, the power I discovered to get through it. And that is when the idea of creating DYP, or discovering your power your way, came into the universe. And because I discovered my power by having a hypnotherapist. I have my power now by turning into acupuncture. I have my power by, I know if I'm feeling down, I know one of my triggers is going outside and feeling the sun on my face. And while I know my personality is different than everybody else's personality and temperament, but maybe if we can find power for having a crummy day, maybe if we know, okay, I'm just going to wake up and I'm going to take a shower today because I haven't taken a shower in who knows how long. Maybe that would be a source of power for you at that moment.
Yes.
And maybe if you can get in the shower, maybe you can brush your hair. And maybe if you can brush your hair, you can call a friend. And I am not a mental health professional. I do not know, like, I don't, I don't own this story. I just know all the power I found, I kept through my journal. That became my story. That became my message. And that is what I share with people. Like, this is what works for me. What might work for you. If having a nutritionist helped me manage my nutrition and not have a feeding tube for those 3 months, maybe if you have a nutrition plan or change your diet or just found a new way of exercising and taking care of your body, think about, are those options for you? Might that be a possibility? And I just want people to think about it that way. Like, I don't have to be strong to have power. I don't have to have money. I don't have to be the CEO. I can be one person digging deep into what my insides need to tap into. And I hope that they can, whether you are facing a crisis or maybe you're stuck in traffic and the person in front of you is driving you bananas. Maybe you can just know, like, okay, every time I take a deep breath, it centers me. I don't know. I mean, power is, your power is different from my power, but I do believe we all have power. I do believe we do not have to be strong to have power. And I have truly learned that our power it's unlimited and it's everywhere. And let's be open to the possibilities of what might be out there.
Yes. I'd like to quote one thing is like, you told the incidents about your daughter. That must be so beautiful. I can feel that you must have felt so well when she asked you, so, benevolently, like, did you and scars. And I think so you were the only reason, because you didn't show her all the difficult times you passed through, and you showed her the how to get up and how to bounce back to things, rather than to just cry over your fate, like why it just happened to me. And not to her only, but to every people who are watching there, who are joined to DYP, including me. Like, lows and ups and downs are the part of life, but you have to get back one more time. And most importantly, I must say that whenever someone will hear the JOANA BRECKNER, I think so first thing they're like, oh, she is the co-founder of she is the founder of actually DYP, rather than just that she's a cancer survivor. So this is very important. This thing is, I feel, is very important. It is the message you want to give people is totally in your hands, and you didn't stuck up to only this cancer survivor, because still millions of people get diagnosed with cancer. Not everyone has a YouTube channel, has some motivational speakers, and help other people. So that is a big thing, I must say that, because you are yourself you decide your own destiny, and that is important message to everyone. We talked about your journey, we talked about the doctors. One thing, I know you mentioned them all throughout this, but what kind of support did you have? Like, what was the importance of your family in all these things? Because there are people, cancer survivor, cancer patients, and the apart from the patient is the one who suffers the most. But apart from the patient, the second most person, I must say, that suffers your disease is the family. So
Yes.
how important is family support in these things? You told about support.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. My husband is my rock, and there's no manual for this. I mean, my husband hears I'm having an 11-hour surgery. We have a 5 and 7-year-old daughter. I might never talk to him. I might never eat again. Like, I might not even survive any of this. I mean, we were like, whoa. And he took charge. He became kind of the gatekeeper. Unconsciously, he was assigned the role of gatekeeper. He handled all communication, because I was focusing on, okay, I'm going to the hypnotherapist. I'm listening to my kids. I'm making sure I have a schedule for the kids. So when I'm in treatment and my husband's at work, every day my kids have a place to go. But my husband, he was really the keeper of all information. He was the one who handled communication with the doctors and the appointments, kind of more of all the logistics of everything.
Yeah.
And also, as people kind of, people started hearing about cancer, what I was going to, I know people mean well, but all of a sudden I became flooded with information.
Yeah.
Have you tried this herb? Have you tried this remedy? And it was like, it was overwhelming because one, I didn't want the information. And two, I didn't know what to do with it. And three, I know people were trying to help, which meant now I had to respond to them.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I couldn't. So my husband, he responded to all of it, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff. He totally took charge. When I was in the hospital, because I have a tracheotomy, I could not talk.
Yeah.
And we quickly realized I needed someone in the hospital with me 24/7.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just the nursing and the doctors. I needed an advocate.
Yeah.
And he helped me organize. He had to be home with our children. So he actually organized someone sleeping in my hospital room every single night. So I was not alone because it was very scary. And even, I mean, he handled all of that. He gave me the hugs, he gave me the love, he gave me whatever I needed. And when he didn't understand it, he said, okay, you need to talk to your therapist about this. I'm not saying he was perfect. I mean, he's not as emotional as I am. And there are things I wish he had done differently. I mean, 100%. But I think he did pretty darn well. And he's a very good provider. So if I needed the hypnotherapy, if I needed a certain nutrition, if I needed to see a therapist, he could provide that for me. Although there are plenty, if you can get creative, I think there are ways that you can find those things if you really need it. That's why I'm a big proponent of the cancer support community, because all of our services are free and they're a nonprofit, and I use them for 5 years throughout every different stage of my cancer. So another big part of this, obviously, are my parents, and to see their daughter. I don't think it matters what age your child is. You're still your child. I mean, they were on top. I can't even imagine how they felt. But I mean, my mom, who I mentioned, has had breast cancer twice. She took me to treatment every single day. Every single day. She helped with my kids. My dad was there too, as best he could, but my mom really is the one who stepped it up. I have 2 sisters, one that's closer and the one that lives closer. Like when I couldn't attend a school function that they needed the mom to do something, my sister would show up for me. This is kind of crazy. Like on the weekends, my daughters and I, we would bake together. Now I had no energy. But we would bake and make things so I could bring them to my doctor's offices on Mondays, because it was the only way I knew how to show gratitude for everything I was going through. I mean, it could have tasted like sand. Let's be honest. I'm not sure anything was edible. But my sister would come over because I didn't have a lot of energy, and she would drag her kids and she would help me bake with my children. And that's quite remarkable. Our community stepped up. They set up a meal train and they brought food to my house every single day. Maybe we're old fashioned, but we're a family. We still eat dinner around the table every single night. And during treatment, I was in bed all day. I mean, all day. But at dinner time, I could not talk because the radiation fried my vocal cords. But I would sit at the table, I would have my smoothie, and the kids would have whatever meal, and my husband, whatever meal that came, and they would sit around the table and talk about their day. And that was the most important moment of my day.
Yeah.
And that, thank God for that food. Thank God for that food coming to the door every day. So my husband did not have to worry about it. And we could have that family, even a little bit of normal.
Yeah.
And that was a good friend. And also, I'm a person of faith. I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
And I had to dig really deep into my faith. And I have my rabbi and my rebbetzim, and they were and still are a very big part of who I am, to help me kind of answer so many of the questions I had, and the doubts and the fears and the what ifs and the whys. And boy, I still call on that faith, and I'm a big believer in God. I love God.
Yeah.
And I know God is a big part of my survival and my healing.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate. I have a strong community and a really strong support system. And this cancer, I mean, I'm sure no one should do cancer alone. No one should do illness alone. There should be at least one person.
Yeah.
This cancer is so consuming. You cannot do this cancer alone. You can't. It's just, the treatment, the surgeries are so intense and so big, and the follow-up is so huge. You cannot do the cancer alone. You need a partner, a help, a support. If your community is online, find it online. I know the American Cancer Society, they have all kinds of programs to drive you to treatments, to provide meals, to provide housekeeping. If those are the things, and I was fortunate to have those things because my husband and my community and my parents and my sisters provided it.
Yeah.
Can't do this alone.
Yes.
Can't.
Definitely. I actually, I salute to your husband, because you showed that he was managing so many things. And if you're watching us at this time, I really, I bow to you, because you have been that rock of Gibraltar, to, going through all these things and still being there with her all the time, and, managing everything, that hospital, workplace, and all these things. Really, it's a big thing. And actually, you shared a very important message, that family support is tremendously important in any illness, you can say. And you were blessed to have such a helpful family, including your daughters, your sisters, your parents, and whatnot. Like every person, like support group, and the feeling that I'm not alone, and I have some people who can I look to, who can I call, who can help me in the bad times. And that is very important, I must say. And
can I add one thing? And
sure.
I can't believe I didn't even say this. I mean, the biggest motivator of this whole thing was having two small kids. I mean, there was nothing more motivating than saying, I had two kids. They couldn't do anything. They would come visit me in bed when they came home and give me a hug.
Yeah.
They would sit at the table. I mean, there's no doubt this impacted them. I will never truly understand it all.
Yeah.
But just knowing I had two kids, I had to be able to roll with that. That's the reason to live. That was my main reason to live.
Definitely. I must say, I don't know, like when they'll grow up, they'll only come to know what impact they had. But the JOANA they have seen today, the mother they are seeing today, she has stand up again, and she is facing all these things, and she have been motivation and inspiration to millions, thousands of people. And I think so they must be very proud of their mother, I must say. And everyone, including me, I'm proud of you, because gone through these things very smoothly. JOANA, talking about that, you had a very important thing, and you showed that if there are people who don't have a very supporting family, we can say that. So but there are support groups, and that is thing, to everyone watching us. There may be times, there may be some difficulties that your family won't support you that much, but there are free cancer groups, as she told us, that American Cancer Society, and there are people who are there to support you, so you don't have to feel alone in these things. And she told very important thing is that it is not a disease to be, fought alone. We need people along with it, and everyone should keep that thing in mind, that there are people out there. There are people like Youth Cancer Action also, to spread the message that these things are very important and should be looked up to. So talking on the positive aspect, you told about the family, but uh, can you tell about this differences in the behavior of the society? Because man is a social animal, you can say. So apart from family, there is a big society around us, which you are involved in very deeply. So how did this all your cancer thing, your treatment, your everything, impacted your social life as a whole? And was there any change in differences in the people before and after the diagnosis? Was there any?
You mean in my social life, my community, that difference?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there are people who I thought would step up and disappointed me tremendously.
Yeah.
There are people who I thought would be there and weren't. And those friendships have been cut off. I mean, there are people I think about differently now because I thought they would do what I thought they should do, and they didn't. And that's just a reality of illness. Sometimes people don't know what to do. Socially, I have probably become, well, I do public speak, and people are like, oh, you're a public speaker, you must be out there. I've actually become more introverted because of this.
Yeah.
I cannot show up in a crowded room or a party and talk to people. I can't.
Yeah.
My voice will not allow it. So if I want to talk to somebody, either I have to overuse my voice. Thankfully, everyday talking is strenuous, but it's not painful. At the end of the day, my mouth is wiped out. And so my speech therapy has helped me with preserving my vocal cords and also making my speech more articulate.
Yeah.
But I should not be raising my voice. I should not be talking in loud rooms. And there's it's also affected my eating. So eating in public, or if I'm at a function and I'm sitting next to someone, it's not good manners to talk and eat at the same time, but you're next to somebody, you talk, it's natural. I can't do that. I can't do that. So I actually, I'll say to them, I'll go, you know what, I'd love to talk to you, but I have this challenge, and if I talk and eat, I'm going to choke, because I will. So that part is hard because I want to talk to people and I get a little self-conscious. I do eat in public, but I eat differently and I eat slower. My diet has altered dramatically. I can't eat most salads or fresh fruits or vegetables. I have to clear my throat a lot more. So eating is a big part of my social life. So that has had to transform drastically. My taste buds are, I've lost my taste. All my taste came back, but my tissues have been compromised. So I can no longer have like spicy foods. I can't have a lot of different, I'm not a drinker, but most alcohol burns my mouth. So I have to be very careful of what I eat. I'm trying to think what else socially. My voice gets lost.
Has people's perspective changed about you after this episode? Can you give a share any on that issue?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Like I told you, prior to your diagnosis and after all these things or the journey, is there any change in the perspective how people see you or something like that you wanted to share?
Oh, well, it might be in my head, it might be a reality. I walk around the world now with this big scar on my face. And I actually like to call it my Harry Potter scar because I feel like Harry got his scar when someone tried to kill him, and it makes him recognize, it gives him power, it reminds him of his past, it impacts his future. And my scar is a reminder of something that could have killed me, but it's recognizable. I do see people kind of like look at it and I wonder where she got that. Was it an illness? Was it a car accident? And, you know, kids look a lot, and that's okay. I've actually had kids come up to me and they're like, what happened? And I say, oh, I had, you know, depending on the age, I'll say, oh, I had a bump in my mouth and they had to remove it, but it doesn't hurt. And, you know, if you want to touch it, you can. And they're like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
But some people look at me funny, and I'm, you know, I'm a woman. I want to feel pretty, and you know, I get self-conscious about it. I don't feel I don't feel like my old face. You know, it's all a little bit off. You know, I eat different. I talk different, and I've had to find peace with that. And in some ways, I think it becomes a source of power because I walk into a place now and they're like, oh, it's her, the girl with the scarf. I mean, I'm more recognizable now. People are like more willing to go out of their way. But I'm also more forthright. So for example, if I'm on the telephone with someone and you get into, you know, if I have a credit card company, which is always a bad idea, but sometimes you have to do that. I will tell them up front, I'm like, I'm an oral cancer survivor. I have a speech impediment. Please listen carefully because it is very challenging for me to talk and have to repeat myself over and over. And once they hear that piece of information, I don't say it for the sympathy. I say it because I don't want to have to work harder than I have to convey my message. And most of the time, I find people are very understanding and they're like, okay, all right. And they usually hit it the first try. Maybe you saw my video. I went to speech therapy, and on graduation day, we changed my phone number because I could not pronounce my phone number.
You tried your phone number with, you know, phone number company, like what number I can pronounce well. I was just going to ask you that thing. Please tell about that episode. You called the company, you discussed over maybe half an hour, like what number I can pronounce actually.
Right. I was like, you know, giving your phone number to someone is like normal. Like no one thinks about this. But I would give my phone number, and then people would say, what did you say? What was the number? And it was over and over. And I'm like, this is so frustrating. So on graduation day from speech therapy, I said, I want to change my phone number. And the speech therapist was like, great idea. We called up the company, we explained the story. And we must have been on the phone with him. I was on the phone, the speech therapist was on the side for a half an hour until we found the perfect phone number that I could pronounce every single number without any hesitation or confusion, because I cannot say the number 6 or 3. I mean, and so many phone numbers are that. And not only were they patient, they didn't charge me, and they wished me well. And they were like, if there's anything else you need. And I remember when I got my phone number, we started crying. I'm like, this is my new phone number. Unfortunately, I can't change my address, which has a few numbers I can't pronounce, but I'm not moving.
That's safety issues.
But it was empowering. It felt like, oh, wow, now I can do something I did before, and there's no hiccup about it. It's not a reminder. It's like, oh, I can give my phone number out just like everybody else. And it may seem like a small deal, but it was a very big deal. It gave me back some control from what cancer had taken away from me.
Definitely.
And maybe you can find that small thing that whatever your challenge is taking away from you, maybe you can somehow take it back.
Little things impact a lot in life. I can say that. There are little achievements which we don't, you know, generally give much attention in day-to-day lives. But once we go through so big change in your life, little achievements are so happy. Like I can talk, I can, you know, I can eat some smoothies like that. There are changes which we garner more when we go through this. I know we are a little bit over time. We'll just shortly, you know.
This has been fun.
I thought that, you know, I just didn't want to go the time, but you know, it might be difficult for you to, you know, talk for a so long period of time. But I'm really grateful for you. You have been amazing throughout this thing. Just going to last 1 or 2 questions. JOANA, what do you think the impact technology has technology and research in fighting against cancer. That is because COVID and all these things has empowered technology to a very greater extent, you can say that. So what this
Right.
thing is on cancer is?
I mean, I don't know much about the technology. I mean, I do know 20 years ago, I wouldn't have survived. I would not have lived. And I'm sure when, God willing, I'm 100 years old and people will be like, what happened to you? Or my grandchildren say, what happened? And I'm going to say, oh, they cut out half my tongue. I'm sure that will be completely barbaric. I don't have to wait till I'm 100, probably in 5 years from now. You know, right now, but there's all that, oh my God, why am I'm having a chemo moment. It's like the tumor, oh, you would know the name of it. What is it when they do like the target gene?
No, I'm not getting that thing.
I can't think of it. It's quite
Yeah.
common now, but I'm sure I'm sure what happened to me will hopefully not be around in 5, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
The medicine, you know, I don't think maybe my medicine target gene therapy. I think that's what they call it.
Yeah, target gene therapy. Yeah.
Target gene therapy. I mean, we're seeing incredible things with that. We're doing a lot of research on the HPV virus and how that impacts, especially if teenagers now can get the vaccine for HPV.
Yeah.
Think about the generation of children that will not have to get, obviously, it's cancers of the reproductive system, but also cancers of the mouth.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if people are getting this HPV vaccine, think about how many kids will not get oral cancer and will never have to go through this.
Yeah. So yeah, the impact is tremendous, and in coming years, you mean to say it will grow exponentially because the treatments will improve, the diagnosis will improve, and obviously the early detection will also improve. Okay, I can say that.
Right. I mean, this is not a conversation. Are you anti or pro-vaccine?
Yeah.
I mean, my children have gotten the HPV vaccine. I don't think. I mean, I thought about it. You know, you have to talk to your doctor to get or your pediatrician to get the best information possible about that.
Yes.
But I do wonder, and I'm going to throw kind of just an idea out there, is my children go to a pediatric dentist as well. And there is no conversation about the HPV vaccine in the pediatric dental office. It has been reserved for the pediatric doctor. And if the pediatric dentist is taking care of my children's mouth, and they have a window into not only their dental care, but are they smoking? Are they chewing? Do they have an eating disorder? Are there other things that might come up? Why are they not having a conversation about the HPV vaccine when that is the demographic getting the vaccine? Why is that conversation not happening with the parents during those visits to the pediatric dentist?
Yes.
I'm sure there is politics behind it. I'm sure there are reasons behind it.
Yeah.
But me as a parent, I'm just kind of curious about that.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah, information is very important. You said something that actually hit me in the Oklahoma Dental Association. There's a page therein. You told that a routine dental visit saved my life. You know, that was the So, what by your views, what is the importance of early detection and diagnosis to all the people looking out here? And see, you didn't had any big symptoms that took you to the doctor. You had a routine dental visit, nothing was serious. So what is the importance of early detection by your terms?
Oh, the importance, it could be the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
It can be the difference between maybe living and having no quality of life and living and having a good quality of life, which is what I have. Yeah. And even with early detection, I don't know if my cancer could have been stopped. Yeah. I don't know. Yes. I don't know what caused it. We'll never know. They say maybe some kind of genetic mutation, but trying to, play that game with myself only makes me crazy. So I don't. Yeah. But ask to be screened. If something is irregular, get it looked at. Yeah. If your dentist or your hygienist says, not for you, find somebody who will do it for you. Be your own advocate. Open your mouth. Look inside. Stay on. be
Yeah.
comfortable, poke and prod. These are not, this is not expensive. This is not evasive.
Yeah.
This is just a lot of feeling around, and so you can figure out what your own baseline is, and your medical team can help you do that too. But early detection is the key to saving lives and preserving quality of life. So be your own biggest advocate.
Yes, definitely. Coming to the last section, there's a great quote by Abhijit Naskar that make your existence count. So that is a very big sentence, because like, where did you get all this inspiration to start writing a book, like share your expenses to everyone so that they can read, and give this found the DYP, give speeches, like living your life totally. Because I don't think so there are millions of cancer survivors, but I don't get to interview every one of them because they are not so famous kind of regarding. So yeah. So
I think waking up. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. I just waiting for your reply.
I mean, I have been very intentional about sharing my story to save lives.
Okay.
And not because my story is more important or bigger or than anybody else's. I mean, people have been through much worse things in their life than I have, and I ever will. And I recognize that. I mean, you look at the front page of the paper, and it reminds me how lucky my life truly is.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to wake up every day with purpose and meaning. And it doesn't mean you have to be the cancer awareness advocate. It may mean just being there for your children, or being the best spouse you can, or, if you're not sure what to do, bake cookies and bring it to your neighbor. But waking up with purpose and having meaning in your life is what has inspired me to wake up every day and do the very best I can with the day that God gave me. And I don't always succeed. I mean, some days I struggle just like everybody else. And I just keep putting that energy out into the universe and hoping it will come back to me. And if I can change the life here and there, then that's a bonus.
That is big thing, and everyone watching this video must get this thing, like helping others. Like a quote I like totally dedicated to, like, a life that touches others lives on forever. So I must say that, like, you will live forever now because you have touched so many lives, and you have been watched by so many people. You have been read by so many people. I don't think so. Like, immortality is a new thing for you. You will live forever. That is a big thing, and that is definitely a. Coming to the last section. Okay, so can you tell us more about your DYP, Discover Your Power, and its foundation objectives? Like, what is the thing that is done under the DYP, and also shed a light on this DYP emergency kits, which I was very fascinated to read about it. So please tell me about it.
Okay. DYP, as I share with you, when I gave my speeches and I looked back through my journal, I thought about all the power I discovered to get through this. And then it dawned on me, like, what if I knew all this in advance? Like, what if I knew the Harry Potter star would help inspire me? Or what if I knew hypnotherapy would be my go-to, or acupuncture? Like, what if I knew some of these things? You can't know all of it, but there are things you can be aware of. And then it made me think, I live in California. We have a lot of fires. We are earthquake prone. And there's a lot of talk about emergency preparedness and having your emergency kit. You have your flashlights, you have your water. So what if you had your emergency kit for the other emergencies in your life, like a diagnosis, or maybe you're having financial problems or marital problems, or you have a child who is going through something. Do you know what tools you could draw on to help you get through those experiences? And I don't know about the people who are out there, and I don't know who's out there, but do you know that I lost my train of thought? When I am emotional, I can't think straight. I have a hard time focusing. Sometimes I can't even get a sentence out straight.
Yeah.
So I created this DYP emergency kit, and it's really a blank piece of paper. You don't have to use my piece of paper. You can create your own. And on that piece of paper, it gives you prompts. It gives you things to think about on how you discover your power. Maybe it's nature. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a girl's night out. Maybe it's hygiene. Maybe it's exercise. And essentially your own DYP emergency kit. So when you are facing that moment, you kind of pull it out, and you could have it on your phone. You could have it in your glove compartment in your car. You could put it in your wallet. You could put it in your nightstand. You could put it everywhere. Just kind of look at it, and to remind you, like, wow, I forgot that I had that app downloaded on my phone to help me meditate for 10 minutes. And that's it. It's just a reminder of what is in your personal emergency kit to help you get through the big and small challenges of life.
That's actually a very novel idea, that everyone has their own personal challenges and everyone has their own kit. So, customizing, you have to customize your own kit, which you will use in emergency, and not that like people should not confuse like it is the emergency kit we should use via earthquakes or something like that. It is the emergency kit which will help you go through that difficult time at once, and it will help you propel forward in life. So that is actually a very novel idea, I must say that.
Thank you. And mind you, the DYP kit, your emergency kit, it is organic. So what may work for you one time may not work for you another time. And we're always evolving, we're always growing, and we can always add to it. And that's the beauty of being a human being. We're always changing and learning and exploring.
Yes, that's a very actually, the last thing is that what is the message you would like to convey to your audience? Like all people watching it here, the video will be shortly in a few weeks on the YouTube. And so what is your message to the audience? And also at the last, can you just give us a short, message about the Youth Cancer Action about it? So can you please?
My main message is you do not have to be strong to have power, and everyone has power, no matter who you are. You just got to do a little bit of digging to find it. And sometimes you don't even have to dig. Sometimes it just organically appears in front of you. But we do not have to be strong to have power, and no one is powerless. And I truly believe that to my inner core. And it doesn't keep us from feeling the bad and the good. And maybe the power is a crime. Maybe you need that emotion. It can come from anywhere, but recognize it for what it is. Pay attention. Like, wow, that little thing helped me at that moment. I'm gonna write that down and pay attention to it. We all have power.
Yes.
You have power.
Actually, this word I told you in the starting only, that word has really fascinated me, because discover your power is so complete in itself, right? So it sums up everything. It gives you the power itself, that you have something. Okay, so discover it. So that is the big thing. Lastly, can you give a message to the Youth Cancer Action, like the people like us who are trying to spread the word for cancer, the cancer, and the great people like you who have taken out in the morning time in the schedule to have a nice chat with them. So can you just give a message to all the people, the Youth Cancer Action?
Okay, so the message, so these are for doctors and professionals and people like you. Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. I would say, please be patient, and please be kind, and please be understanding when someone gets a diagnosis, because it is scary, and we need our hands out. And you as a doctor, you have your role, and maybe you're not the person to hold the hand, but please help guide us maybe with the resources that can hold our hand and can help us get from one step to the next step and to the next step.
Definitely.
You know, we're at the mercy. Sometimes we feel like we are at the mercies of doctors, and we don't want to sound like we don't trust you or we don't believe in you, because we do. That's why we chose you. But that doesn't mean we don't want a second opinion, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't ask more questions, and that doesn't mean we don't have doubts. And as much dialogue as that can happen to keep that conversation open will not only help the doctor, but it will help the patient be the best patient they can possibly be. And that was always my goal. I want to be the best patient I can possibly be, so everybody else can do their jobs as best as they possibly can. And if we can all rise to that occasion, I think the outcome may not always be what we want it to be, but at least we will know we did our best to get there.
Definitely. And I think so you'll get the best patient award because you've been so knowledgeable. You have been so, agreeing with the treatment, going through it. I think so you'll get that best patient award for sure because, and actually your message is very important to all the doctors, the young doctors like me and all the people who are watching this. Like, it is very important to know the side of the patient, like why he has came to you, because he doesn't have any option because he just needs the treatment. But you have to treat not only the disease, but the patient having the disease. So this is a big thing, that it is just not a disease, but the person is having the disease. So yeah, that is very important. And I think so someone will watch this and he will, get that, yeah, I have that power that I can talk well with the patient. So yeah,
right.
Definitely. And I
right.
can see sorry.
I was going to say, I recognize my doctor should not be my therapist.
Yeah.
But maybe my doctor can recommend a therapist. So it's having those resources are critical in getting through this disease, whether it's oral cancer or any type of cancer.
Definitely. So I can see a world map behind you. So do you have any plans traveling all over the world, maybe after this COVID pandemic has been over?
Oh man, I can't wait to get on that airplane.
Yeah, I can say that. So
maybe we're thinking South America this summer, but that's a big what if until I got my first vaccine. I'm getting my second vaccine in less than 2 weeks. So yeah, that will be exciting. I felt like, okay, I can breathe a little bit more.
Definitely. I also had my second vaccine is due tomorrow only, so I'll be taking the jet tomorrow. Yeah. So thank you first of all, JOANA, not only for this interview. This thing has impacted to the people watching us, and this has actually impacted me personally also. I have relived those maybe 15 years of your very crucial thing in a very short span of one and a half hour, I can say. And I will carry this message with me in my life. I can say that. And thank you. And first of all, thank you for everything. Thank you for spreading this message. Thank you for having us to just question you. And I just I salute to you. I bow down to you. You have been tremendous, and just discover your power is what is and yeah, I have power, and you helped me realize it to a greater extent, I can say that. So it means a lot to me. And so do you have anything to say, or we can call this meeting off? I know I'm really sorry to jumping. I have jumped maybe half to 40 minutes over the time.
Don't apologize. This was supposed to be. I know we had a hard time even organizing this, and I am so grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to have met you and you reaching out to me.
Yes.
And I feel like I have a new friend.
Yeah.
And maybe you can share my website with people. If people have questions, they can email me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I got to this because I shared stories with people one-on-one, and we need each other. People need people.
Yeah.
And you're my new people.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, same. I'll ask you for the links once on the LinkedIn about all the profiles for sure. And yeah, I'm a subscriber to your email updates, by the way. So yeah, I'll share the link as much as possible. And
Great, thank you.
What I can say. Thank you, and have a
Thank
nice
you,
day.
everyone.
We will surely connect on the social media for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank you so
everybody.
much. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.